Blackbeard and Shanks are the other two Yonko that have yet to be involved in some major action in the Yonko saga. But behind the scenes, both of them are starting to make some moves. Shanks recently speaking with the Gorosei about a certain pirate, and Blackbeard going after something mysterious. And I do believe all of this will lead to the next major arc in Elbaf and this crazy war that will happen. But before we break all that down, while you're watching this video, if you're having a good time, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any future uploads, and drop a like for the YouTube algorithm because it really does help. But let's start by talking about Shanks and Elbaf because this is not a new theory. A lot of people have talked about this already, so I'm not gonna pretend that I came up with it. In fact, I'm gonna mention some other videos in this video, but everything will be linked in the description. But yeah, for a very long time, a lot of people felt like Shanks would be involved in Elbaf because Shanks and the red-haired pirates are very closely related to Norse mythology. Not only do the red-haired pirates literally have a Viking ship, but Shanks' character might be inspired by the Nordic god Tyr. See, Tyr was a god that always upheld justice, and similar to Shanks, he also sacrificed one of his arms. He lost his arm to this wolf called Fenrir in order to make sure that wolf was chained and locked away so it did not pose any danger for the rest of the world. So based on that alone, there's already some connections between Shanks and Elbaf, but if we're looking at it story-wise, there's just so much more that points to Elbaf being the next arc and the red-haired pirates being involved. First off, Elbaf is an arc that just absolutely has to happen because it was introduced almost 900 chapters ago. And over time, we've been building up to the mysteries of Elbaf and what exactly it will look like. So for sure, we eventually have to go there, and one person that's gonna get a lot of shine in Elbaf is Usopp. Usopp, of course, was very inspired by Dory and Bragi and Little Garden and made it one of his dreams to go to Elbaf and meet the giants. So when we finally go to Elbaf, Usopp will for sure get a lot of screen time and character development. And what better way to really push his development forward than getting his dad involved, the guy that inspired him to become a pirate in the first place, the person he looks up to, but also the person that kind of left him. The reunion of Usopp and Yasopp is something I've been looking forward to for a very long time, and Elbaf could be the perfect place to do it. There's definitely going to be a lot of moments on Elbaf where Usopp's bravery is tested, and if it happens in front of his dad, it's just gonna mean that much more. His moments of bravery is gonna be much more meaningful because his dad is there. And on the opposite side, when he is cowarding out and becoming scared, it's gonna be that much more embarrassing because his dad is there. So with Elbaf bound to be a major arc for Usopp, that's another thing that ties the red-haired pirates to Elbaf. Also, if you look at the recent arcs, Oda has clearly been giving a little extra love to the East Blue crew. Of course, Sanji getting his big moments in Whole Cake Island, Zoro getting some major W's right now in Wano. I expect the same for Usopp and Elbaf, and for Nami, I think it's Lodestar, but we'll save that for another video. But yeah, with that element, it does feel likely that Elbaf is the next arc and the red-haired pirates are involved. And on top of that, there's just so many other things that could tie in story-wise. Of course, Shanks could also teach Luffy about advanced Conqueror's Haki. Conqueror's Haki has been tied to Shanks from the moment he was introduced and used it on the Lord of the Sea. And Luffy learning an advanced level of Conqueror's Haki does feel like his next step in his progression. On top of that, we're dying to see the Luffy and Shanks reunion, which Shanks even recently said will happen soon. It's possible that Mihawk is with the red-haired pirates as well, so that's another tie to the Straw Hats with Zoro. Shanks was also at the Reverie, so maybe he got involved there and saved some people that are important to the Straw Hats. And finally, it's also very possible that Shanks has the Fourth Road Ponoglyph. The last time we saw it, it was in Fishman Island, which was a territory under Whitebeard, but maybe after the death of Whitebeard, they handed it off to Shanks so he could protect it. So there's so many different storylines that could come together and get resolved in Elbaf, and on top of that, Oda literally said that Shanks will be on the move soon. So personally, I do believe Elbaf is the next arc and Shanks and the red-haired pirates will be involved. I do really love the idea of a Davy back fight between the Straw Hats and the red-haired pirates to really see how they stack up. Having a serious high-level Davy back fight would be a great way to redeem the Long Ring Longland arc, and maybe we'll find out some history about it as well and how it might connect to how the Rocks Pirates were formed. But yeah, like a lot of other people, I do believe Elbaf will be the next arc and Shanks will be involved. But the next question is, what exactly is the conflict there? Because sure, you might have a Davy back fight that might be a little serious and you're gonna get some high level action, but at the end of the day, they're not really gonna duke it out to death or anything like that. At the end of the day, you still need the conflict and the problems to really make the story interesting and to make it move forward. And here is where a lot of people might say Big Mom is the option because she does have ties to Elbaf, but personally I really do think that Big Mom will be defeated in Wano. Mr. Morge made a great point in his video where he mentioned with the Straw Hats defeating Big Mom, it would essentially allow them to come into Elbaf as heroes, because Big Mom is somebody that is hated by all the giants, so if the Straw Hats arrive in Elbaf having defeated Big Mom, they would be touted as heroes. So personally, I do feel like that's a good way for the story to move forward, and honestly, I've had enough of Big Mom. So if Big Mom's not gonna be the conflict in Elbaf, then what is? Well, I think it's a person that we've already been introduced to, and that is Prince Loki. Listen, when I first heard the name Prince Loki, I can't be the only one that imagined him to be a villain. Like, Loki has been a villain and a bad person in every single story. Whether it's mythology or the MCU, Loki has always been a villain, so I can't imagine him being a good person in One Piece. And even when he was shown in the story as a silhouette, he didn't look like a good person either. So I definitely do feel like Loki is gonna play a big role in the conflict of Elbaf, but of course by himself is not gonna be enough, especially if Shanks is involved. At that point you have the Straw Hats and the Red Hair Pirates, which is pretty much two Yonko crews. So in order for Loki to really cause some issues, he's gonna need a lot of help, which I feel like that's where Blackbeard comes in. But first we have to theorize why exactly Loki would cause issues in the first place. Because right now he's a prince of Elbaf and a person that is very well respected. They celebrated the day he was born, and even despite the fact that Big Mom is hated by all giants, he still got a chance to potentially marry Lola. So clearly he already has a lot of power and respect within Elbaf, so why exactly would he cause a problem? Well, in Ohara's video about Shanks, he brought up this really interesting theory about the God of Elbaf. The God of Elbaf was something mentioned by Dory and Bragi as this god that passed down divine judgment. Now it could just be part of this warrior's code or giant's religion, but a way you could tie it all together is maybe Shanks is the God of Elbaf. I could totally see this situation where Shanks is kind of like pulling the strings behind Elbaf as his true ruler, but nobody actually knows it's him because the giants are all very prideful and it could cause some issues. So maybe he struck a deal with the king and he's referred to as the God of Elbaf. So that could be a great way to tie everything together and hype up Shanks a little more. But on the other hand, you now have this god that stands at the top of the hierarchy, and that could be something that a young spoiled prince is envious of. Right now Loki does give off the vibe of like everything going his way and everything being catered towards him, so maybe he's kind of envious and jealous of this god that even when he becomes king he still has to listen to. And maybe eventually he finds out about the god's identity being Shanks and starts this entire plan to try to overthrow him. But like I mentioned, him by himself is not enough. He's gonna need a lot more power, and that's where Blackbeard comes in. And this is also where I think Oda will draw inspiration from one of the biggest events in Norse mythology, and that of course is Ragnarok, this massive war that led to the deaths of many people and gods and destruction. And with Elbaf being so closely connected to Norse mythology, I feel like Oda can't miss out on that connection. And guess what? The main villain that caused the issues of Ragnarok was none other than Loki. As a matter of fact, it was actually said that a ship named Nagfar would be freed and its crew will be an army of giants and its captain would be Loki. It doesn't get much more simpler than that. If Oda's gonna use Ragnarok as an inspiration in Elbaf, some elements of this has to happen. So in this scenario, I do think Loki will be at the center of it and causing the conflict. But again, he's not gonna have enough power even if he does gather some giant warriors. And this is where Blackbeard comes in, and I do gotta say, this might be a little bit of a stretch, but Blackbeard and Shanks have been very closely tied together. Eventually they have to fight and interact. Of course, the Straw Hats and the Blackbeard pirates have to go at it with each other as well. But the thing that might tie Blackbeard into this story is the ship that I mentioned named Nagfar. You see, Blackbeard right now is going after something that the Marines are supposedly not taking advantage of. There's a lot of theories surrounding this, but one of the most popular ones is an ancient weapon. And as of right now, something is happening within the kingdom of Alabasta. Cobra might be dead, Vivi might be on the run, there's probably no leadership right now. But at the same time, as we found out through Crocodile, there might be an ancient weapon already there with Pluton. And Pluton, of course, is this devastating battleship that could just decimate islands. Now, connecting the ship from Ragnarok to Pluton is kind of a stretch, I gotta admit. So at this point, it does lean more towards headcanon, but I do feel like Blackbeard pulling up with Pluton would even out the fight a lot. Because even if Blackbeard pulls up by himself with the Blackbeard pirates, you still have the Red Hair Pirates and the Straw Hats. It might be a tough fight, but I will hope the Straw Hats and the Red Hair Pirates end up winning. But if Blackbeard pulls up all of a sudden with an ancient weapon, now that's a big problem. That will even out the playing field a a lot. Some people could definitely die. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I just got really excited at the thought of this crazy war involving these three parties. And honestly, if you really wanted to cause some major conflict within Elbaf, you really need something devastating like this. If you think about like Dressrosa and Alabasta, you could kind of just start a war and the people are panicking. But in Elbaf, everybody is a giant. They're not gonna be scared of many things. If you really want to cause panic and issues, you're gonna have to have some major firepower. So to me, this scenario could make sense and would lead to some really great stuff. Like Frankie could be the first person to recognize that is actually Pluton, like oh my god, somebody actually built that crazy thing. And then you also kind of maybe shift from this like friendly battle that the red hair pirates and the Straw Hats just had to now they're teaming up. We could have like Usopp teaming up with his dad and Van Augers on the other side. Of course, Shanks and Luffy and Blackbeard, you got Shanks' commanders as well. So much crazy stuff could happen. Maybe Shanks has the fourth road Ponoglyph, and at that point, you would have literally all the Ponoglyphs in one spot. And honestly, if Oda's gonna speed up the pace of the story, he's gonna have to condense a lot of stuff. And if you do have this massive Elbaf arc where Blackbeard and Shanks are involved and it kind of caps off the Yonko saga, there's really not much after that. Really after that, you go to Lodestar, you go to Laugh-Tale, and then you have to take down the world government. So yeah, that's my theory on Elbaf and how we'll see Shanks and Blackbeard on Elbaf. Realistically speaking, not all of this will happen, but I really do think Elbaf will be the next arc and Shanks will be involved. But I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this theory and any theories that you have, so let me know in the comments below. But as always, thank you guys for watching. If you had a good time, be sure to drop a like for the YouTube algorithm. Make sure you're subscribed with the notifications turned on so you don't miss an upload. Thank you to all my King Pirates Elite members on YouTube and Patreon for supporting the channel. Follow me on Twitch and Twitter. I'm DZach, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.